Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Factorio Bob's Angels. Now on episode 48. So we start the episode off by setting some research going that we need for Power Armor. We go for Power Armor 2 and some modules as well. So last episode we were just generally streamlining the factory, seeing where our shortfalls are, one of which was wood. So we've massively expanded our ability to produce wood. But there are a few greenhouses not running because the inserter was placed before the greenhouse, and the first thing it picked up was some wood. So that's how that occurred, or at least that's how I think it did. I can't really think of any other way. So there are still a number of things that need improving in the factory that are still slow. One of which you could see on the bus there was steel. That needs sorting out, which I'm probably going to do next episode. So last episode we got the productivity modules being created. But I completely forgot about the raw productivity modules from Bob's Mods, which pretty much does the same thing, just with none of the penalties. I completely forgot about those. They do seem a little bit OP compared to the normal ones, but they're in Bob's, so I'm not going to not use them. I'll definitely get those in. So we are going to set those up this episode. I've placed the assemblers for it, but I was waiting for the factory to place it before I go back and sort it out. So I finally come and get some logistics chest production done in the factory, and we come back to set up the raw productivity modules, which I don't really start placing this episode. I still can't quite decide where to stick them, but I now realise I should really get them all in the modules to begin with, obviously, and then all of the science. One place we definitely need them is blue science, because that is just hoovering up the whole of the iron in the bus at the moment. The iron is potentially something I'm going to look at next episode, if I have time, along with my quest to get everything ready for episode 50, but it looks like it's going to be halting our actual ability to research the power armor and everything, so we're going to need to improve it, but I don't really want to build another smelting column unless I have to, so I'm going to look at moduling it up with productivity and speed modules. The only problem with that is they need to be electronic furnaces, and I'm still apprehensive about the power, which we'll see later. I thought the power was doing really well, and I was getting there, but yeah, we'll see in a bit. I'll talk about it more later on in the episode. So the first thing we're getting set up is the electronic processing boards. We need those to produce any of the decent equipment for the power armor, and potentially the level of power armor that I'm going for will need these. So we get this set up. It's a fairly easy layouts, pretty much like the electronic logic board, and yeah, we've got all the materials for it, so we might as well get it done and get it running, so it doesn't take us too much of the episode to get this all set out. We're going to get most of it brought in by bots, and there's our first power failure of the episode. It's one of the most major ones anyway, but luckily it's very brief and we have no attacks going on at the time, so it was kind of well timed. I think it was because of all of the brick I was placing out on the ground, and all the bots charging has shown that the accumulators are still only just dealing with the factory overnight. So yeah, we're going to have to look at that very soon. Depends on when, because yeah, my list of things I need to do for episode 50, I'm still apprehensive if I'm even going to get it ready for 50, but we shall see. Whatever level of power armor we get to and equipment, we will still do it. Just hopefully it's enough that I won't have to use turrets. I don't think we're going to use any combat robots in this bite slaying. We could probably save that for the next one. I do have all the materials for it. It's just a case of researching it all and laying it out. And we do have a hell of a lot of research already that I need to do to get all the equipment for the power armor. So this episode is generally making sure we've got all the materials to make all the equipment and the power armor and everything, hence the electronic processing boards, and also making sure we are capable of doing all the research to get the stuff we need. Next episode, it's going to be making sure that research happens, because we don't get it all done this episode. And I think, yeah, the other priority for next episode is going to be streamlining the factory, making sure we're getting enough materials coming through, and also placing out the assemblers to produce most of the equipment. I don't usually get the equipment made in the factory for the power armor, but I think in this I probably will, because I'm going to want a couple of suits, I think. Maybe one for combat and one for just working in the factory. Usually I just have one generic suit that I just use for everything. But I think for the first time I'll have more than one suit and just don the combat one when I'm going out, and just make sure I don't forget to change it. So we have our CPU production laid out. We've got the processing board production laid out and feeding in to the electronic processing board assemblers. We just need to bring the materials in for the CPUs. And the only one that we need not extended to this bit of the bus is the silicon nitride, which we're just bringing up now for the CPU production. And we also get the silicon connected up as well. Silicon, or the silicon wafers, I think you'll find. So yeah, we've got that all connected. That should start producing the CPUs, which already have their belt to carry them through. One other product we need for the CPUs is the gilded copper wire. So we get that all laid out. I can't quite remember how I used to do it, so I do sort of mess around with it a little bit. I forget I need to bring the gold in for the gilded wire, and yeah, so I kind of wish I'd spaced it out differently. I'd want the belt for the gold maybe coming up in between the two. I think that's how I did it before, and having it the belt right next to the assembler and the inserter on the side of it. It's going to make much of a difference. It should still run fast enough. So that's all going to get in. We bring the copper forward for that as well, and we get the inserters laid out. I'm pretty sure I've got the ratio correct for this. I did have a quick look at the timings. I might go check my old factory just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what is required. 2 assemblers make enough copper wire for 1 gilded assembler to run at full speed. But yeah, that's going to produce loads, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And the CPU production runs fine. It seems to be working. It is using sulfuric acid again, like the integrated electronics, so I'm still a bit worried about sulfuric acid because we are going through quite a lot of it, but now we're using so much plastic. The balance of petroleum use and sulfur is fairly okay. I didn't really check it this episode, so it would be good to see how well it's running while the factory's going at full speed. And the last product I forget for the electronic processing boards, just like with the electronic logic boards, is the solder. So we get that brought up. Once that reaches, it all kicks off fine, and we get that balanced onto a belt for no real reason now, I realise, because we're sticking it into a passive provider. I'm probably not going to bother putting it on the bus because it'll be mostly used, or yeah, it'll just be used in production, all done in the logistics system. And I don't think there's a science other than the ones I realised earlier, but I don't think there's another major science that I need to do with them in it, which I find slightly odd. I would have thought there would be one, so that might creep up on us later on. But yeah, the second half of this episode, or at least a good third, maybe 2/3 of it, is going to be alien science. So we're going to look at getting all of that set up in a moment. I just come and check the electronic logic board production, and it seems to be running okay. I could add more, but I am going to probably module it up. And on the end of this, just because it uses all of the same ingredients, I get the module logic board production set up, because I want to get one of the things we need for the power armor is speed and efficiency module 4. So we're going to need the module logic boards to make those. I thought I needed it in the research, and I get a bit confused once laying it out. But we get it added to the logistics construction for module stuff. Might as well stick it above the circuit boards. This area can be expanded in any which way if we need any more of the types, but again, now we have beacons. I'm probably not going to go too overboard with stuff. One thing I could do, though, is leave spaces in between for beacons. I might do that. Just move them apart a bit so there's a room for beacons, but I guess I can just put them along the bottom and the top. We've now researched the Mark III beacons, so they have a really nice surface area, which is great. But yeah, again, I'm not really looking at putting loads of beacons out yet because of power. It would be great to have them all out and start doing it. But yeah, due to the current sort of, rough balance of power, I'm not gonna risk it yet. So that's one thing I need to sort out before I can start throwing beacons and modules everywhere, because it's just the power consumption of the factory is just going to skyrocket. So we start off the alien science by getting the artifact production done. That'll turn all the small artifacts into the normal ones. I was thinking of putting it over near the logistics storage, just so the bots don't have as far to carry it. But I also thought about maybe moving the logistics storage here. And it got me thinking, why do I have it all in one place? I don't actually know why I have it all in one area. Right, it was supposed to be near the station, because in my last playthrough, I built a factory that then was designed to build a bigger factory. So the only time I ever used it was to come into the station and request stuff. And yeah, I wanted the logistics storage right next to the station so it could bring me stuff immediately. And all of the logistics construction was designed with active providers and limits on inserters that only built stuff when there wasn't enough in the logistics system. And for that, it worked really well. But because the logistics construction area in this factory is so far away from the storage, it's kind of a bit silly, really. So I'm probably going to build a load of storage down here and get that deleted. But that's going to be for another day and another episode, because this episode and next episode is all about getting ready for episode 50. So we start laying out all of the alien science. I get it all belted in, and I get a bit confused with how I want to lay it out. I don't realize this until later on, so please forgive me. I do realize it eventually when we actually try and use it. But to begin with, I think I'm doing everything right. I get all the belts laid out. There's 7 alien sciences, so I think if I sideload, I should be able to fit it on these 5 belts. But I don't. That doesn't work. The math there doesn't work. I can do math usually. It's just when I recorded this, I was a bit tired and I wasn't really thinking very efficiently. So yeah, I get it all laid out in a way that I think works. We get the robots to bring in the artifacts, and we get the alien sciences producing. We get a pretty big attack up at Sapphirite, but soon that is going to be a thing of the past. Hopefully, if we get all the slaying done in episode 50 that I have planned, but we'll see when it comes to it. We'll see how effective the power armor is. We're pretty much just up against behemoths now, which is pretty ridiculous. So I'm going to need some fairly good equipment to be able to just use the flamer, run around, set everything on fire, and then just wait for all the biters to burn to death, which is always lovely. So we get some of the raw productivity 2 production set up. We get some more speed module 1 because, yeah, why not? I mean, I think my ratios are roughly correct for the purple or yellow science production, sorry. But I just add another set of 1s just for the normal speed module production. And we get a bit of module science set up because we've got loads to do. And I try and get power armor 3 added to the list. That is hopefully the power armor we get. If things go really well, we might get the one after it because we do have everything we need to produce it. To be honest, we have everything we need for the final tier of power armor. I just think that might be a bit far-fetched to try and get to that in such a short space of time. But like I keep saying, we'll see how it goes. I start contemplating clearing up the path. That's essentially where the concrete path is going to go. I haven't even sorted out concrete production yet because it's not really my priority at the moment. But past me in this episode does keep getting distracted a few times. And we can see the main bus is very empty of iron. It drastically needs sorting out. So I see it. I do think about it. But yeah, it's something we'll have a look at in a little bit. I come down to have a look at the shortage of carbon and also the shortage of silicon. So we come and have a look at upgrading these areas. So I start with the silicon because we've got plenty of silicon plates. It's just the rate in which we're making silicon wafers. So I come and grab some gold because I look at making some of the highest tier of available beacons at the moment. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to be throwing them in everywhere, but it might be handy to maybe stick a couple in here and there. I don't actually use any on the silicon wafers, but we get the assembly production for the silicon massively increased, and we also look at upgrading the belt. But before I upgrade that all the way back into the factory, I also want to come and have a look at the carbon production. So we're going to do the same for the carbon. We're going to get all those belts upgraded, and we have a look at getting some modules in. I do look at extending it, hence why I clear those trees, but I don't actually bother. This is actually where I decide to stick the beacon in. So we stick in some speed modules, which drastically speeds up the carbon production. I think about putting in some productivity, but I don't actually do it yet. I'm a bit apprehensive to use the productivity 2s. I kind of want to go straight to 4, and I don't want to be going around having to go and replace all of the 2s with 4s. So yeah, that's why I'm not putting out any productivity mainly, is just because I want to put in, I want to start by putting in productivity 4. We double up the belt for carbon, at least to where it splits on the Bob's sub bus, and we get some express inserters on the output for the carbon. I should probably upgrade the input as well. While I was recording this, I am having a bit of performance issues in the middle of the factory. It is slowing down a little bit, which is frustrating. I then come and have a look at iron. I stupidly try and put in some raw productivity in the steel furnace. To be honest, I've never gone with steel furnaces this long, so I always go to electric quite early. I just haven't had the time to upgrade power enough to be, sure about the lasers. I then put in a speed moduled beacon for the steel furnaces, and again, they're not affected by modules because, of course, they're not electric. So that was really stupid. I leave the express inserters in for now because I couldn't be bothered to take them out. And to be honest, it's something I'm going to focus on next episode. So we come and have a look at getting some things made in the factory ready for next episode. We get some express inserters and express stack inserters done automatically because so far I've only made a few in my hands. Another thing I'm going to potentially look at doing next episode is some electronic furnaces for iron, so we can get some raw productivity in there. But I'm going to have to make a huge effort between this episode and next episode to extend solar and accumulator quite massively. I come and pick some up ready for that so that the factory can make another 4 stacks of each, so I'll have a huge amount to place out. But another thing I'm going to look at if I have time next episode, because next episode we are going to be doing a lot of waiting around while stuff is researched. So while the stuff is researching, we're going to need to be streamlining the factory just so that it's doing that research as quickly as possible. But if I have time next episode, I'm going to finally look at getting steam upgraded. Up until now, we haven't been touching the steam at all. We've been running on solar and accumulator fine right up until this episode, where we had a brief blackout earlier. So I can't get the highest tier of boilers. We can't get Mark 4, so we're going to go for Mark 3 now. But if I have time, I'm going to go and upgrade all of the steam area, add some tanks on the end, and another row of 10 as like a really quick source of power if we ever run out. And I'm probably going to add a few more rows on as well. So, because at the moment, the amount of power that steam makes is pathetic compared to the solar. Because I stopped using it really, really long time ago. Never upgraded it, never expanded it. So yeah, it hardly even scratches the surface in terms of power needs for the factory. So we get that all automated because we are kind of waiting for research to be done at the moment. But I kind of mess around with this quite a lot. To begin with, I don't think you need the tier 1 and tier 2 boilers. So I make tier 3 and then I realise you do need it. So I have to place it all out several times. The steam engine production was a bit quicker. And I come and check some of the stuff I was doing earlier. I noticed there wasn't a limit on my blueprint. And noticed we didn't have a limit on all of those speed modules, which was a bit worrying. But we get that all added in fine. I come and see why raw productivity modules 4 is taking so long. And the values on the requesters are a bit low. To begin with, I thought it was solder. The dark green and brown ones weren't producing because of no solder. I went and checked the bus. There's plenty of solder there. So I realized the values are just too low to act as a buffer between them using them and the bots bringing more of the product over. So we then come up and try and get Power Armor 3 researching. I get the sciences in that I missed out for alien science. To be honest, I thought it was just alien science here. I didn't realize it needed some of the normal sciences. So we get requested chests for those. But again, I was really not thinking when this was recorded. And we need all the sciences brought over here, basically, not just these. And is it here I realized my really stupid placement of the belts? No, not yet. But you can see I've got the alien sciences placing onto more than one belt, which is a bit stupid. So we get golden science set up, which is just a combination of lots of the different sciences. I think it's green, red, and blue. So we just get all that done in the logistics system. I will probably move it at some point. It is a bit randomly placed, but I'll work out how I want to have all that laid out. It's not really important at the moment. So we head over to the normal science area to add the various sciences to the logistics system. I don't realize at this point, but I should have really added purple and yellow as well, because they are needed in the alien science labs. But we do realise it in a bit. And we get in the car to head back over. We get rid of some of the trees, because I have crashed into those a number of times, driving back and forth along there. So now we can get raw productivity 3 laid out for production. There is a bit of inserter shortage at the moment, because all the iron's getting sucked up by blue science, and it's not actually making it into the logistics system. So we really need to look at improving our iron smelting. It's just not good at the moment. And we also get some effectivity modules set up, as this is going to really help with the power consumption when we start putting beacons out. I noticed in Arumba's playthrough he was putting 1 in every beacon along with all the speed modules, and it decreased the amount of power usage massively. And to be honest, 1 speed module isn't going to be too much of a setback. So yeah, power is going to be very difficult to balance soon. So I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet after episode 50 and have a look at setting up some nuclear power. It's something new I've never done, so we'll get that sorted. And past me finally realizes the error of his ways with the belts for the alien science. To begin with, I think I'll just redo the belts. Then I get rid of the belts altogether. And yeah, I just keep changing my mind, and I decide to rebuild the whole thing from scratch. And I'll just get the logistics system to do it all for me. It'll be far easier, just slightly less power efficient, getting the bots to constantly take them all back and forth. But to be honest, once they're all the alien science stuff is done, I won't need this area. We can probably just get rid of it, but we'll see if we really need the space. One thing I've noticed about the bus is we don't really need to add too much onto the end. Most stuff is going to be made in the logistics construction area now, so hopefully the bus is never going to reach that bobmonium patch, and we won't have to have the rail traveling right the way through the end of the factory. So we get the alien lab science area set up. We get the requester chest to do all the sorting for us. We need 2 for each lab, as there's more items than a requester chest can request. And we head over to the normal science to just get the last 2 purple and yellow sciences added to the logistics system. So I'm trying to record these episodes ahead of time, because I am going away again. I've nearly got enough episodes to cover while I'm away, but I don't think I have time to cover the last few days. It's not a holiday this time, it's more of a favour for someone. So sort of slash holiday slash kind of work slash favour. So if the next episode isn't out for a couple of days, I do apologise. But I'll see how much time I've got and we'll see how it goes. And talking of time, that's going to be all we have for this episode. I do hope you have enjoyed. Next episode is the final bit of preparation before the mass biter slaying. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye.